If you follow Microvision closely and what they're doing with their LiDAR lately, this will probably not be much new information for you. But maybe if I'm your source of information for what Sumit and the boys are doing over there at MVIS, well, then you're gonna wanna hear this. Quite a lot has happened, literally all of it good, since the last time I talked about this company. First, super quick background, including why MVIS is over 90% of my stock portfolio. Microvision is a company that's been around since 1993. They've been focusing on MEMS laser scanning technology to make things like tiny projectors and, more recently, a LiDAR sensor. MEMS stands for Micro Electrical Mechanical System. Basically, it's a mirror that can vibrate super quickly and super precisely to direct laser beams to do useful things. Maybe a little more than a year ago, it was uncovered that Microvision's technology was the main driver of the HoloLens 2 AR helmet by Microsoft. Thanks, stupid. Which has since been licensed to the Army, beefed up, and renamed to the Integrated Visual Augmentation System, to the tune of several billions of dollars to basically make soldiers into Master Chief from Halo, where they can see an overlay with tons of information from other soldiers and drones and HQ during combat. That is awesome, but that's not what we're here for. This year, Sumit Sharma, the CEO of Microvision, told the world that they are putting nearly 100% of the company's focus on automotive LiDAR. Whew, that's scary. That's light detection and ranging. They've designed this little module, and I'm gonna super oversimplify how this thing works. A module that can shoot out so many laser beams that this thing can gather 10,800,000 data points per second. Each point of data is an exact laser measurement of what's in front of the car, in an array of laser beams. Basically, this MAVEN module, that's what they're calling it, or Mavin if your last name is Verma. This thing fires an array of laser beams that bounces off of whatever's in front of the car and then returns to the sensor, where each of those 10 million points of data reports how far away the thing it bounced off of was. This happens 30 times per second, and it looks like this. You might think, well, this looks like a crappy low-resolution picture compared to a camera, and that's true. Cameras create a clear picture of what's in front of a car. With multiple cameras and a really powerful computer, a car can make stereoscopic calculations and create a 3D environment. That's what Tesla does. But even though the resolution of, let's say, Tesla's car cameras are 1280 by 960, and they have 8 of them, processing the images from 8 cameras in real time and building a 3D environment based on what they see takes so much processing power that the final output, as found by the apparently well-known Tesla hacker Green, the final output is a whopping 160 by 120 pixels, and it looks like this. This is the environment you can get with cameras with today's capabilities. Oh, hello. And you have to remember that in order to do this, a computer, according to Tesla, that can achieve 36 teraflops is necessary. And those cars have 2 of them. That's a computer powerful enough that it requires liquid cooling to not overheat. That's about the amount of processing power of a gaming computer with 2 of NVIDIA's RTX 3090 graphics cards, currently the world's fastest consumer graphics card. It's pretty hard to search for and nail down the actual power requirements for Tesla's computers in watts, but the point is, a car company would have to employ huge amounts of processing power. They'd have to get really powerful computers to put in their cars to go the route of cameras. This much processing will have a power draw measured in the hundreds of watts just for the main chip, hence the liquid cooling, just to produce this little 160 by 120 pixel wide 3D environment. 160 by 120 is 19,200 pixels per frame. The LiDAR sensor can spit out 360,000 pixels per frame, each pixel with its own distance measurement, and it'll run at 30 frames per second. That's 18 times more 3D data. 3D data. That's a fun thing to say, 3D data. And the Microvision sensor has a custom ASIC built onto the laser. What the f is an ASIC, you say? It's a custom solid-state computer that can take those 10,800,000 data points per second and turn them into a ready-to-use 3D environment that gets sent to the car's computer so it doesn't have to do any of that computational work. And the LiDAR sensor does this while measuring power draw in the dozens of watts instead of hundreds of watts. Anyway, this isn't meant to be a Tesla camera versus LiDAR video. LiDAR's coming. Tesla's doing their thing, and that's great. They have millions of hours of training their AI with millions of cars on millions of miles of road. But the dozens of other car companies that want in on this future aren't gonna wanna spend the money or the time to train an AI to do all that. And LiDAR is currently the only other way to end up with a real-time 3D render of the environment that the car is driving in. Here's what the view from the LiDAR sensor looks like with MAVEN. This view gives a great representation of how useful this information is. The LiDAR is mapping out and measuring the distance between each car up to 200 meters in front of the vehicle. The car's computer is just given a 3D representation of the world around it with an update 30 times each second. While it's pretty rare, an optical illusion can fool a set of cameras into thinking something's closer or further or just not there altogether. But you can't fool a laser beam. Maybe if someone was shipping a giant uncovered glass sphere or something, you could fool a laser beam. Not every car in the next few years is gonna have self-driving, of course, but most new cars going forward are gonna wanna offer some advanced driver-assisted systems features. The cruise control that can do stop and go traffic, automatic braking when someone pulls out in front of you, lane keeping, preventing cars from changing lanes when there's a driver sitting in your blind spot. All of these systems systems will benefit by having LiDAR sensors in the car. Microvision's MAVIN LiDAR sensor is ready. In the last investor presentation, the CEO, Sumit Sharma, said they have a completed product. He said potential customer engagements are heating up. There are other companies competing for market share in this sensor race, but so far Microvision remains the highest resolution with the highest refresh rate, in the smallest packaging, and for the most competitive price. They are ahead of their competition. And they're right now hosting private track days with the car manufacturers to show it off. In previous presentations, and reiterated in this one, Sumit made it clear that they're ready to scale up production when it's needed. They're ready to scale up production to meet whatever demand is necessary due to their sensor using commercially available components. They also said something I don't remember them saying in previous presentations, that they plan to become a full software and hardware solutions company. So not only will they be providing these LiDAR sensors, but also the software that gets them working in the cars. It really is only a matter of time now. Sumit and the boys have said that they expect LiDAR to show up in mass production cars by 2025, which means car manufacturers are looking to pick their horses now. One of two things is going to happen, probably. Either some large car manufacturer is going to leave one of these private demos and just decide to buy the company so that no one else can have it, or Microvision will mass produce LiDAR sensors for multiple companies for the next decade until something better comes along. This time next year, I expect this current price of $5.03 or whatever we closed at today to be very attractive. I'm an Aspen.